Okay, guys, this is Turok. I just finished the chapter. Holy shit! I just posted a video this as of this morning. I'm recording this Thursday night, the 10th, and I recorded this video. I recorded a video. What was it on Saturday? And I forgot everything I was sitting there, but I made a video talking about whether or not Vegapunk had gone maybe to Ohara in his youth to learn from them, and it looks like I was partially right on that one. And did I say this? All right. Anyways, this is great. So we're gonna get we get a lot lore here for Dragon 2. Oh well, let's just start from the beginning. So from the beginning here, we have Shaka. The Shaka Vegapunk gives a whole backdrop of stuff to the Strawhats there, which are Nami, Usopp, Frankie, Sanji, right? And Nami, Nico, and Nico. So we find out Shaka first goes on here about telling how he, well, that's Vegapunk. When I say he right now, I'm referring to Vegapunk. And we'll see the main Vegapunk here too. And boy, he was way different than we thought. Tekking had been using that Rick look. I'm not sure. That look of Rick from Rick and Morty for a long time. This guy looks nothing like that. Oh, this is great. I'm sorry, I'm going over some of this again, but I read the basics. So the first part here, he goes over and tells the Straw Hats, the ones there, how he was acquainted with Dr. What's his name again? They say it here, but now I remember. I forget his name. What's his name? The Dr. Clover. Professor Clover. He was acquainted with Clover. So I had guessed that maybe Ohara, that Vegapunk may have visited Ohara when it was still an active academic center, but there's nothing to confirm that here. Oh, turn this off. Oh, yeah. To confirm that it does, but hold on here. So next, I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm just happy that I was partially right on this. It's fun when you make guesses and you're right on a story. Now I see why people like that. Wasn't trying to. All right, 22 years ago. Okay, 22 years ago. Oh, so did Robin not fully understand? Maybe not. So we had that flashback. We have a flashback back in the. I guess she didn't. Back at Andy's lobby, we get the flashback of Professor Clover, and when the CP9 agents that were led by Spondum's dad go there, and they kill Professor Clover, and I think it's Spondum's dad did it, one of the other agents. They shoot him there when he's talking probably with, what was it, one of the Gorosei, and the Buster Call is initiated on, we see the Buster Call initiated on Ohara, and I don't recall where Robin was there at the time, but they knew she was there. But she must not have understood, according to what I see here, I didn't realize that she didn't understand what Clover found. And it is the Shaka Vegapunk that tells us here. And he says, yeah, because they were destroyed. He thinks that Clover and Ohara was destroyed because they uncovered the details of the kingdom's existence. Here's the other part where I had guessed something that, this is the part where I had right too. He talked about the Void Century being a history of conflict, which all of us have guessed. An alliance of the 20 nations. Okay, so the Celestial Dragons, I didn't get that. There was 20 nations that were formed an alliance. So Imsama was leading them, perhaps? We'll have to wait on that part. 20 nations, and they fought against this advanced kingdom, and they just won, and then they formed a war government. And they wanted to do it so that the ancient kingdom's ideas wouldn't live on. So they found some fault with it for some reason. Now, this doesn't say one way or the other that the ancient kingdom was bad. Perhaps down the line they learned that the ancient kingdom was somehow dangerous to the world, and maybe what they did initially was right. And as far as like saving lives, I suppose you could put like moral argument there, but it certainly hasn't. If any of that would be true, it certainly hasn't helped out in what the world government has become. So when he gets that, we get this great, a huge reaction from the other 4 Straw Hats, other than Robin, Shaka. So Sanji exacts. So Shaka ends that bit by saying they erase every trace of it from history. So Sanji asks, like, if that happens, don't they mean the rest of us get eliminated? Which Shaka confirms. And Usopp, of course, freaks out and like he wish he hadn't heard it. And then he asks, wouldn't the government's actions be tantamount to a confirmation? All right, I'm missing something when he's asking Robin here. Tell me, Robin, if I'm right. What discovery is why? Maybe he's saying that's if she understands the government. He asking her why to confirm those motivations of the government. Anyways, Robin says, "What? Well, why are you asking me? Shouldn't you know about this?" But Shaka confirms that just because he works for the government, he is more of the word here is affiliation. I think an appropriate word. He's still in the dark about about this kind of stuff, and even someone like him wouldn't be allowed to bring it up because it would result in immediate erasure. He uses. So this also sounds like why CP0 is definitely coming here. Somehow, someone here is probably ratted out to the government that Vegapunk knows about the ancient kingdom, and they're coming there now. At this point, Usopp's freaking out, like, don't tell us anymore. I don't want to die. We're pirates, and Usopp, you're lacking faith in your crew. He's afraid that this kind of knowledge will just get them wiped out right away. Like, you guys haven't gone up against the government already. Okay, so now Robin goes on, like, well, how do you know they were researching that stuff? And this is also, I forgot, the chapter name is called The Will of Ohara. And here, Shaka says, the Will of Ohara lives on. And now he goes back a little bit over that stuff and how Robin was labeled a criminal afterward. And then here's where, so Ohara, at this point we go to a flashback talking about Shaka says that Vegapunk, or what happens here is we find the original Vegapunk's the one that visited. He talks about he visited the place afterward, and because he was acquainted with Dr. Clover, and he went there to pay his respects to Clover because of that. And Robin's shocked to realize he knew Clover, which, but given that they both were probably geniuses in their own way, one a brilliant researcher and one a brilliant scientist, I wasn't too surprised. I thought about that in the last video. So yeah, it became a whole in archaeology. Makes sense. Sounds like Athens. And so then here's where we first get our first look of Vegapunk from a silhouette from behind when he's looking at the tree. Was that the tree of Eden tree, or what do they call it in here? Eve? I forget. I know there's something with Adam and Eve references in here, and it shows Vegapunk staring at it from the back, and he's like, it looks like he's wearing a black suit, and he's got hair, but his head is like 3 times higher than his body, and we'll see how that is in the front in a moment. But what we found out here is Vegapunk, when he visited the island after Ohara was scorched, there was a huge hole in the ground with all kinds of books that survived the Buster Call. Oh, okay, so what happened is that hole where somehow he's implying here that it looked like the scholars, when they realized that all was lost, hid these things here in such a way that they could not be destroyed. Which I was just pondering, like, how could that have happened? But how could that survive? But it looks like they must somehow intentionally protected it, but he still found it. Or maybe it was covered up before, because we'll find out in a moment something that they're being carted away and saved somewhere else. Even here, Shaka Vegapunk too is quite sad to find out when he got there, and he also sad because the Ohara had won in the end, in a sense, because their knowledge persevered over this. And at this point, we get a little flashback with Nami. Nico's starts crying at this point, and we see a little flashback that we've seen before with her and her mother, where her mother left her there. I forgot. So her mother went back to Ohara? I gotta look back at the flashback after this and where everyone was at this time. Oh yeah, it was Saul. Can't give up on your future. So what happened? How did she send Robin away? Was that Saul that took her away while her mother went back? I have to review this flashback. And at this point, Frankie and Sanji are getting a little loose focus in this next panel. They're upset that Vegapunk's making Robin cry. It looks like Sanji probably would try to kill Shaka about now, given his affection for her, let's say. Alright, so Robin did understand some of it. She confirms to Shaka that they came to some conclusions about the kingdom before the incident, and then asks about where the books are now. And Shaka, so Vegapunk wanted to save the books himself and take them to Punk Hazard. So he was working there, what was that, 22 years ago? He must have been at Punk Hazard still. And now here's where we get the good flashback. So he says they were being taken already when I got there. And it's just 22 years ago, but it's also like 3 months after the incident, after the Buster Call. And what we see, now we get the first look of Vegapunk's face, and he's got like a very waxed mustache that comes out, and he's wearing some kind of glasses, and he sees giants in there pulling out all these books. So that these books, there's so many books and there's so much of a big hole that one of these giants is actually wading through it as if it's a pond, a big thing of water, body of water, and it's like up to his waist. Look at those total of 3 of them there. And there are 2 on top and 1 in the bottom, and they're using nets to pull out all these books. Yeah, sorry. I was looking at the picture. I had to finish my sentence. And when Vegapunk first sees him, he's worried that these giants don't understand the worth of these books. And now we see Dragon pop in, and he's up behind Vegapunk. he points out how big Vegapunk's head is. In this next panel, we finally see Vegapunk, and boy, does he have a weird look. So he looks like he's a man he's got like he looks like if you took away his unusual sized head, he's actually rather short. He's got like a big, round, elongated kind of head already, and he's got like a short body with like these really long, skinny legs. And then he's, I should go like this? Yeah, I guess. And he, his forehead, it just travels up, and it's front of it is still like no hair like ours, but his hair in the back is going up with it up the back, but we get to see it down the side like little ridges. So Vegapunk is surprised Dragon is here, but Dragon apparently knew Clover as well. And he was kind of a hooligan roaming the seas, it says, but Dragon says, but he knows Vega. So at this point, he's investigating afterward, basically. Oh, they're both holding flowers too. Oh, what's that thing in his pants? He's got an interesting attire here. And you can tell Dragon's a lot younger looking. He doesn't look quite as harsh as he did later, but though he is close enough. Also, if this is 22 years ago. Oh, if this is 22 years ago too, Luffy's not even born yet either. Wonder who he was with. This will make so many questions for a Dragon video. I bet Tekken will make a post-Dragon video now. We got a lot here to go over. So, Dragon here is 33. So 22 years later, he's 55 now. Okay. Yeah, so Dragon's like, I came here. I knew Clover was like some kind of hooligan roaming the seas. Maybe, why would he call a hooligan? That's a weird translation. But he's like, Dragon continues. I know that Vegapunk wouldn't have done, not Vegapunk, Clover wouldn't have been this kind of person that caused trouble, or maybe what did they label him as? What are the terms they use? Devils, dissidents who plotted, oh yeah, that overthrow the government. That's the story they used, okay? Okay, yeah, so the books, all these books, I thought at first these giants were with Dragon, but it seems they are sent from Elbaf, and they're collecting the books to take them there. Oh boy, if the government ever finds that out, that machine's going to be over there and lickety split. And, okay, this confirms something else that I think we haven't found out about. Oh, we're going to find out. It appears that Saul, the giant who helped rescue Robin, who was encased in ice, if I recall correctly, the last time we saw him with Aokiji, is still alive. And he's the one who's heading, he's the captain of this expedition. Okay, so Saul came here from Elbaf with a group of other giants to collect these books, because he knew that stuff was there. That makes sense now. So Saul's still alive. That's good. Actually, I think we see him later now that I think about it. So, the next panel, Dragon berates Vegapunk a little bit for not joining the revolutionary, and he's quite upset that he joined the world government, which Vegapunk retorts by saying, I could have joined you guys, but you guys don't have the resources I needed to make my stuff. What good is my intellect if I can't build anything? So he's like, I know the world government is not the greatest place, but since it's a huge organization of people, there's going to be bound to be some good people there. Yeah, he thinks by being on the inside he can reason with some of these people, which is great and all, but you gotta get rid of the problem at the top, buddy. But this seems to be the point now. This also seems to be the point now where Dragon finally realizes he's gonna have to raise an army. So at this point, it looks like Dragon's forming his free group, but he's already formed it. But now he's inspired here by this travesty to make an army that will fight back now. At which point Vegapunk points out, well, I thought you hated war. There's a tidbit there. Maybe that's why Dragon never joined the Navy or the Marines with his father, Garp. He doesn't want to be a fighter. He doesn't want to deal with that stuff. So what did he do for an occupation, I wonder, before this? We'll have to find out later. And the last bit here is about dragon saying the will of Ohara won't die with Clover. And now we end the flashback with Shaka talking about, and within a year, the Kuma and Ivankov and Dragon together formed a revolutionary army. So now we just jump back to the Straw Hats all reacting to different parts of the story. Nami talking about how intense Luffy dad is, a dragon. Usopp interested in the part that Elbaf was involved. And Nico talking how, or exclaiming about how it was this incident, Clover's death that motivated Dragon. And Frankie pointing out, like, why did Kuma help us then? And he asks, why did you modify Kuma too then? And it looks like Sanji though too did not realize that Ivankov was part of the Revolutionary Army. I guess he didn't tell him that bit where they were together. Oh, I didn't reread this part. Okay. So Shaka, this is the other thing why Shaka, I did read this actually, but the other reason Shaka's Vegapunk's in danger here is he was curious about what the Clover and the other Ohara scholars found, so he, later on he visited there. This is where we see Saul, but his face is silhouetted. We only can see his lower body sitting in this library, and his shadow is covering his top, and he's Shaka's going on how he went there, and he was allowed to read the books. He requested to read all the books, and this is where Shaka Vegapunk goes, I memorized everything from those books, and I've been continuing their research. So he is truly, really must be kind of working with the revolutionaries, or at least doing his own parallel ends to help fight the government. And we get a sweet scene here with Nico realizing that was Saul who was the captain of the Elbaf pirates that came there. He's in hiding. I can't confirm everything. So he won't confirm it really, it looks like, but Nico knows it's her. And she has this very happy smile thing on. And she thanks Vegapunk for helping them out, helping Ohara out. You know, he considers himself a scholar too. He's like, I try to progress every field of thought possible. Okay, so he's just not into tech. He likes to do other stuff. So now we end this panel here with the Straw Hats, the main Straw Hat crew, and he has them following him. He had those boots. He had them wearing those boots, and then he had them pinned to the floor from the last chapter so they wouldn't attack him. But now he does something where it's dragging them along as he's going through this door to another tube area, and he proclaims, I have something else to show you, and it ends there. And that was a good bit of information there. So now we jump to the last bit of the last panels of the chapter with Luffy, Chopper, and Jinbei and Bonnie, and the fabrication stratum, they call this here, junkyard, Egghead's fabrication stratum, and Chopper and Luffy are trying to get the robot that we saw, the night robot, the night mech, I'm going to call it, the horned one, to move by yelling. They're yelling at it, trying to see if they do commands, I guess, to operate it, and maybe they're trying to call it names, find out if it has a name. Move, Robo Soki. And Bonnie's looking back at him like a mother with her hands on her waist, like, you guys are like kids, that's not going to work. But suddenly something does start pulsating out of it. Quasar, what does that mean? Now, this is where the main body of Vegapunk pops out. It looks like he's sliding out of something. Oh, the side of is he coming out of the side of the robot? Perhaps. Oh wait, I'm reading the wrong way. And so yeah, he's sliding out of something, and Luffy comes over and grabs him. And he pulls him out. Well, I don't know what he was in. It looked like he was sliding out of something like a portal or something. And he looks like he's sliding out sideways. And oh yeah. And then Bonnie's like sees him and is like she's like ready to attack him. It looks like. And the next thing we see here is oh yeah, Vegapunk immediately recognizes that Luffy's Dragon's son, and he's like, I knew you'd come here. Thanks. So is he implying, did he think Dragon sent him, maybe? Okay, so something interesting goes on here. It's clear that Vegapunk, whatever he did to Kuma, he did not expect Bonnie to be pissed off about it, because he just comments on her, like an uncle or an old friend would when they see their friend's kid. Oh, you've grown so big. It's splendid to see you so full of vigor. And, he starts floating up on these shoes while he's talking to him, and Luffy comments on it. And then he says, yeah, sure, I'm floating as well. I'm floating. You guys could do it too if you press the button on that. And then the chapter ends with them pressing it. Oh, that's right. Holy shit, what happened? I'll get there in a second. So he shows them how to do it, and the last panel is Luffy, Chopper, and Vegapunk flying into the air, going too far. And when we do that, earlier too, when we showed Dragon and Vegapunk together in the flashback, it showed their names. Actually, let's go back. Okay, that's something too interesting. The Vegapunk page. Okay. It shows, we saw a panel showing his name earlier for Vegapunk in the flashback, and it says at that time, that's where he was head of the Punk Hazard Laboratory, and Dragon's head of the Freedom Fighters. And then here it says here, at the end it shows his display introduction thing, and he's called the man with the biggest brain in the world, leader of the Navy's SSG group, the Special Science Group. It doesn't say his age, but we can figure it out because it said his age in the back, that he was 43, so now he'd be 55, 65, sorry, no. Yeah, 65, 55 is Dragon's age. That's where it ends. And the interesting thing I just missed before, I did about to say is, this Vegapunk now in the present does not have his gigantic forehead anymore that we saw 22 years ago. He instead has his head, it looks like it's been chopped off, so he has no hair on top, and instead a little stick with like a crown thing, looking like an apple is sticking out, the top of an apple is sticking out of it. I wonder if that's, given that he's a scientist, this looks very odd by the way, but something Oda would do, but given that he's a scientist, I'm guessing that maybe that's like an antenna that's connecting it with the other, his satellites. And also a weird trait that Oda had him doing is like his tongue is always sticking out. It looked like that was like that in the flashback too. Yeah, like his tongue in the flashback is coming all the way down toward his crotch, and now it's like still doing a similar thing at the end. But his attire is quite a bit different too though. Oh no, but that's because he was at Ohara, he was going to pay his respects to Clover. But now he's like looks like he's got a white lab coat, but he's wearing his polka dot shirt, and he's still got his dark pants on. Okay, so that was the chapter. So I was partially right. Stop tooting your own horn, Vin. So Ohara, yes, Vegapunk definitely had ties with Ohara. He knew Clover. It doesn't specify that he ever visited there before it was destroyed. But he did afterward. But of course he knew Clover, so he already could have figured out. But actually the part that's works better is even though he didn't visit there and talk with them about the stuff when it was active, like I thought, he read all the books that the Elbaf, the giants recovered, so he knows everything anyways. So he is definitely in danger now. Now we can get the full scope, and he doesn't imply that he's in danger now, but he knows by knowing this, if the government found out, he'd be dead, be killed, and they're coming now. So the next chapter, I don't know if they're going to come here. We still haven't seen what the CP0 is about to do. They're still missing from these chapters, but we know why. Yeah, it's probably, I was going over other ideas like whether this Vegapunk made that machine, or if he made that machine that destroyed Lulicia, or whether or not he is maintaining it, even if he didn't make it himself. But the bottom line is he is what was the other thing? The other thing was like whether or not his inventions they want to keep his invention. Oh, what was it? Yeah, I was talking about in the other chapter about whether or not his inventions they would keep some of his stuff from there, even though they're planning on killing him and hopefully find another prodigy someday. I don't know how they're what that plan is. But this also has me worried as well about whether one of his it could have been, there's lots of people working there. It's possible, I was speculating whether I think I said that in another video. If not, I'm just going to say it now, that maybe if these other Vegapunks are semi-autonomous, or is that the right word? Like that they can think independently, and maybe Vegapunk proper, he can't see what they're thinking. Maybe one of them decided to rat him out to the government. Maybe more likely it's just one of the assistants. He's got so many there that maybe one of them was snooping around. Oh, well, there's something. What if, given maybe they don't have any reason specifically maybe the government didn't have any reason specifically to believe he knew anything about Ohara or that kind of stuff. But maybe he, I just put my slippers on. Maybe the government sent a spy there that's trained by CP0 or CP9 to check on what kind of secret stuff he could be doing there and report back to them. And that is how they found out. Maybe they got into his computer database. Maybe there's something there where you can see the knowledge he also has said he has memorized about Ohara. And that's where they reported it to the government, and now they're sent a kill squad, as it were, to take him out. So we'll find that out maybe soon. Okay, there's something interesting there I missed too. So Clover, when they show Clover here in this flashback, they show him when he was somewhat younger. So Professor Clover, when we saw him in the flashback from Ennie's lobby, he had all this wild hair coming out of his head and a beard. They briefly show that panel. When he's younger, in this other panel, they show him on a small ship with he's actually holding a cutlass. So I wonder if he was prepared to be fighting other pirates or other ships out there in the world when he was younger, chasing out. So what they say too is he was searching the world for relevant texts to based about the ancient kingdom. So apparently there must have been other libraries. I mean, I'm sure other places like Alabasta that have those. So he was searching places combing those places for stuff about the ancient kingdom. I wonder if those other places let him in, or if he had to sneak in there or something to get that stuff. So he gathered all those books that the San Juan got that he had at Ohara. He gathered them from all those from the world over and brought them to that one place. So it shows him there as a younger man without a beard. and he's got a show up of crewmates behind him, like celebrating. It looks like they're like going a little hurrah thing there in the panel, and he's got sails that read the word Clover on it. So, see what else is about that ship. Yeah, it's just a sailing ship. It looks like it's got a couple cannons on it, so he probably had to be prepared to at least fend off pirates while he was traversing the world searching for these books he wanted. It's funny that this Shaka is the one telling them that, and at the end though we see that does seem to be quite a bit here where that the other Vegapunk satellites, they are communicating with one another. Well, they all got those earpiece on, right? I think Lilith had one, and Shaka's wearing a helmet, and it looks like he's got the same thing on his ear. And they're all communicating with one another, and you got the one who eats for the others. So they're working together and communicating. But we got, at the end here, the main Vegapunk is doing some kind of experiment or something, I think, with the, by that mech knight. And, these chapters too fast. So I wonder if what I'm trying to get here is wonder if he would approve of his Shaka satellite, telling the Strawhats, all this, backstory and, like lore of sorts about the, ancient kingdom. Also, this does show us that Kuma was directly involved with supporting with Dragon and Ivankov too to create the army. So why he became, hopefully that'll be something we find in the next chapter, because both Frankie asked Shaka about it, and now we got the main one. Why did Kuma allow Vegapunk or comply somehow or decide to have his self modified as a cyborg? Yeah, so Kuma was with so he must have been. I wonder if then, did they give us a timeline? I wonder if when this happened, so 22 years ago, I wonder if like before 23 or so years ago, if that was when Kuma was kicked out of the his kingdom, not usurped. What's the term when they kick out a king? They're overthrown by the populace was probably lied to about him being a tyrant, and he was thrown out, and so he must have went out to sea, I'm thinking at this time, back this far, and may have met Dragon and Ivankov together, and because he may have heard about them. Oh wait, did they say he already knew about the revolutionary at the time? Is that is that the way they kicked him out? I can't recall now. I know they just said that, but so Elbaf is even going to be even more important now too. Now that this is brought up, because now we know it contains the will of Ohara, as they call it here, the massive library of their books that survived are there, and the government is going to probably going to find out about this somehow in the future, and I bet that'll be the next arc. Still, I think I had thought, and I had other people think about too, that Elbaf was going to be the arc after Wano, but now we got a little stuff about Elbaf here. I feel certain it will become the next arc after this, because it's going to just be a reason for both Nico and for the government to go there to seek out the library, each for their own reasons. What else would Shaka want to show them? Wait a minute, wasn't that done differently last time? I'm looking at that panel. What's her name? York. York is that one. Alright, huh. Oh no, I was just checking if there was a... I thought that was a sword sitting to the mech knight. I was looking at the panel from the last chapter, and it just looks like some kind of pipe sticking through a big grill it's gotten its, from its stomach, top of its stomach. Now this does bring up an interesting question too. I think I already brought that up, but again, what made the alliance of all the oh yeah, that's the thing too. Those are alliance now. Now we know the celestial dragons all were an alliance of different nations. Well, that does make sense because we know Cobra and what's his daughter's name, and Doflamingo are each monarchs of their own country. Well, Doflamingo was. So there were 18 other nations that were part of the Celestial Dragons, and they worked together to fight this other kingdom. This brings up so many questions about that. So the Alabasta, Dressrosa, and 18 other ones we don't know of wanted to work together to destroy this kingdom, and they succeeded. And now the government wants to keep it that way. They don't want anyone to know about it. Some hooky stuff going on there. So when did Vegapunk find out about this island too is a thing. So he knew about Ohara and why they destroyed 22 years ago, and he was working at Punk Hazard. I brought up in that last video about my last one I posted about Vegapunk when he had set up shop here. So he was working at Punk Hazard. When did that Caesar clown destroy the island? 4 years ago? Maybe he set up shop already. I feel like Vegapunk. No, I feel like he would have probably been able to slip away and have a separate place. Even back then, so he may. I wonder if he had this place for a while. Also, Shaka is trying to ask Robin here about something about machinery, the ancient kingdom creating machinery. Also, based upon what Shaka's saying here, he doesn't entirely know everything about what happened 900 years ago. He says he believes it was a history of conflict. So even with all that stuff that Ohara and Clover had, it looks like they didn't find out everything about it. But actually, I think Clover did kind of imply that right before they killed him. You want to come in here, Pinky? Woo! Yeah, I think I'll end this video here today.